Yeah. Dear Father, have mercy on sinners like me. Sometimes it's hard being the man that you want me to be. Fighting off desires that's been burning inside of me. I'd rather get purged by the flames of adversities than burn in flames that go deeper than 3rd degrees. Finishing the course, in the end I got guarantees. Can't trust in riches, they got too much uncertainties. I'd rather invest in the bank of eternity. Driving down treacherous roads in the dark of the night. Fog on my windscreen, making it hard to see. Obstacles got me swerving from the left to the right. Trials back to back, been doing this indefinitely. Surrounded by snakes, so I'm always taking heed. Devils crept in unawares and sowing seeds. I don't pet demons, that's one of my pet peeves. Never let a traitor shake your faith or what you believe. Fresh wave, when they come around, we show them the ropes. Music to the ears, they keep telling me, dog, this is dope. Musical chairs, who stays? Only he knows. Never could be sure, people come, then we watching them go. Adversary lurking, he just took like 3 in a row. Plant deep roots, in the end you reap what you sow. Kings on a come up, I'm so proud of them, watching them grow. Many call, few chose, hoping I'm making it dough. Leg work, been doing some cardio. Pushing boundaries, wanna see how far this could go. Made it to the east, they don't like that I've been on a roll. Whole team litty, everybody just ready to blow. 0 to 100, all they could do is watch us go. Hated by my own kind, I've been so fortunate though. Talk behind my back, when they see me it's compliments though. Like your hustle dog, don't stop, keep going bro. Sharpening my senses and I'm learning just how to react. My impulses I done found is my enemy too. She my boo thing, chillin' where Miss Wisdom be at. Got every action that I take and the things that I do. Lost you for a while, I'm glad that you took me back. Treat you like glue, you the one that I'm sticking to. Baby, if I lose you, then I'm having a heart attack. You make sense out of everything I'm going through. Word to the wise, take heed to the letters I wrote. Through hella high water, this the raft that gon' keep you float. Things getting serious, this really not a joke. Hoping that you make it to the end on a righteous note. Hope you endure through it all and you finish strong. Get to meet your maker when he see you, he see no wrong. Don't be lukewarm, gotta choose which side you want. Don't be lukewarm, gotta choose which side you want. Real. Dear Father, have mercy on a sinner like me. Sometimes it's hard being the man that you want me to be.
Watch for a op that gon' stab you in your back. There's some crabs in the barrel, they just wanna haul you back. Whoa, ain't stopping us, ain't stopping us, ain't stopping us now.
I can't play with pride, gotta put it to the side. Wanna talk bad about me, let them know that's suicide. Work on my mind, you ain't gon' waste my time. 247 on grind, all of the time. 24/7, putting my past in the rear view. Now I got the spirit, see a clear view. Choose wise with the ones you let near you. If you rollin', then you gotta have the fear too. Ops wanna chat, I don't hear you. Want me to respond, I don't care to. Gotta kill him with silence. OG, my guy. Watch for a op that gon' stab you in your back. Cars in the barrel, they wanna hold you back. On another level, I've been widening the gap, yeah. Ain't stopping us now, no way. Watch for a op that gon' stab you in your back. Cars in the barrel, they wanna hold you back. On another level, I've been widening the gap, yeah. Ain't stopping us, no way. Pride, gotta put it to the side. Wanna talk bad about me, let them know that's suicide. Work on my mind, you ain't gon' waste my time. 247 on grind, all of the time. 24/7, solid like a rock right now. They wanna see me try right now, but I'm headed to the top right now. They plotting and he steady taking shots right now. Ops wanna chat, I don't hear you. Want me to respond, I don't care to. Gotta kill him with silence. OG, my guy. Watch for a op that gon' stab you in your back. Cars in the barrel, they wanna hold you back. On another level, I've been wider than the gap, yeah. Ain't stopping us now, no way. Watch for a op that gon' stab you in your back. Cars in the barrel, they wanna hold you back. On another level, I've been wider than the gap, yeah. Ain't stopping us, no way. Pride, gotta put it to the side. Wanna talk bad about me, let them know that's suicide. Work on my mind, you ain't gon' waste my time. 247 on grind, all of the time. 24/7, putting my past in the rear view. Now I got the spirit, see a clear view. Choose wise with the ones you let near you. If you rollin', then you gotta have the fear.
Watch for a op that gon' stab you in your back. Get some crabs in the barrel, they just wanna hold you back. Whoa, ain't stopping this, ain't stopping this, ain't stopping this. Now my boy. Watch for a op that gon' stab you in your back. Get some crabs in the barrel, they just wanna hold you back. Whoa, ain't stopping this, ain't stopping this, ain't stopping this. Now my boy.
Shalom, family. Shalom, shalom. Most High in Christ bless. Most High in Christ bless. Hey, we in the building today. All praise to Most High. We in the building. All right, so let's set up prayers, family. Let's set up our morning prayers real quick. All right. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever. O Heavenly Father, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we come before you today for thanksgiving. Give you thanks for giving us this knowledge and our identity in these last days. Also giving us a purpose to extend on our identity in these last days. Also send up prayers for any brothers and sisters that may be traveling today, that you send your angels of protection over them. Also for brothers and sisters that may be going through any sicknesses, whether it may be physically or mentally, I pray that you send your angels of healing over their households. I also pray for the spirit of unity, as well as to bestow wisdom unto the leadership, to then preach forth the classes to give food necessary for the sheep to eat in these last days. In your mighty Son's name. Oh, I also pray for the destruction of the enemy, that through their wicked devices, that you use their devices against them and steer them away from us. In your mighty Son's name, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. All right, family. Most High in Christ bless. Most High in Christ bless. All right, I'm Officer Keydon from Birmingham Camp, and we are going to finish the class Covert Covetousness. All right. So the purpose of the classes was to show you the different forms of covetousness, how do you see it on you, and then, of course, how to battle it. If you know how to identify it, then you're better off with knowing how to fight it off. All right. So just a quick recap, because we went over a lot. All right. So let me see. It was a lot of information. All right. So we went over materialistic possessions, wealth. We also went over food that goes into gluttony. The first one goes into greed. We're currently, I'm going to recap on the social recognition part of it, which is going to stem into idolatry and envy. All right. Then we're going to finish it up with, of course, lust. All right. So let's get into it. Family. All right. Let's see. All right. And then I want to recap. I'm going to start at our identity taken, because it's very important with our identity being taken. It actually resulted in us following into other gods and envying the nation. So we're going to get into great detail of this. All right. All right. So let's start off with Deuteronomy 28:15. Like I say, family, we just recapping from the last time y'all had me. All right. In all praises, it's always an honor to teach God's sheep. All right.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15.
Uh-huh.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
All right, so all these curses are going to come upon us. So these are evil things or evil wills that come against us, the nation of Israel. So if we did not keep God's commandments, these evil things was going to come upon us. All right, so let's go to Deuteronomy 28:45. Go to verse 45.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed.
All right, so all the curses of Deuteronomy 28 is going to come upon the nation of Israel until we're destroyed. But how are we going to be destroyed? We're going to be destroyed mentally. We're not going to know who we are. We're not going to have a place of identity. If you can take identity from someone, you can control their mindset because they don't have the aims to know where they come from, nor do they have the mind to say where they're going. All right. So let's keep going. Let's go to Judges chapter 2. And like I said, I'm recapping. Judges chapter 2, verse 1 through 4. Judges 2, 1 through 4.
Judges chapter 2, verse 1. And an angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bosham, and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, and have brought you unto the land which I swear unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you.
Read.
And ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. Ye shall throw down their altars. But ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have ye done this?
So now this angel is asking, why have we done this? Why have we not thrown down the altars of the other nations? So if we didn't throw their altars down, what were we doing? We was worshiping their gods. We was partaking in their festivities. So you see, when the nation of Israel is in sin, they're going to lose their identity. And when they do, they reach out for every nation or everything outside of their God and outside of their customs. Keep reading.
Verse 3. Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their gods shall be a snare unto you.
So I want us to really think about what does a thorn do? It pricks you. So if you're constantly getting pricked, that means that this is a constant stumbling block that's going to befall you. So in today's standard, the other gods are masked in entertainment, media, sports, cars. They name these things after their gods, like Mercury or Nike or Apollos. So all these things are named after their god to give homage to their gods. And if you are headlong into other things, even the financial world is centered around gods. So if you're going headlong into these other things, this is showing you that your mind is far from the God of Israel and deep in the gods of the other nations. All right, keep reading.
Verse 4. And it came to pass, when the angel of the Lord spake these words unto all the children of Israel, that the people lifted up their voice and wept.
So now the people have been told of their error. Now they're weeping. Why are they weeping? Because they understand that the Lord deals with punishments, judgments, justice, and equity. So now justice has to come after you are serving these other gods. But the point that I pulled out was, in this, we was around the other nations, and we started to take on their customs. You know why? Out of the spirit of curiosity. That's another form of covetousness. Actually, look that up real quick. Look that up. Look up curiosity. I want to show you that that's another form of covetousness. Mind you, We went over greed. We went over gluttony, different forms of that, how to control it, how to control greed with alms, things of that nature, to give more versus to take more. Now let's look up curiosity or curious. Curiosity or curious. Y'all got it? Okay.
Curiosity, a strong desire.
Hey, what?
A strong desire.
All right, so remember, family, covetousness is a strong desire to do anything. Remember, covetousness is the root, but then it branches out into these other forms. So curiosity is what again?
A strong desire to know or learn something.
So now you're coveting knowledge. You're coveting information that has nothing to do with you. Quick sidebar. What is that? Sirach 3:21. This off the top of the head. It's either Sirach 3:21 or Wisdom of Solomon 3:21. But yeah, get that. But I'm gonna show that with that covetousness of knowledge, it forces us to go away from God, because now we're not content with the things that God has shown us in his word. We're not content with those things. So now with covetousness of knowledge, what else do you get into? What type of ideologies or practices do you get into? Read that real quick.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 3 and verse 21. Seek not out the things that are too hard for thee.
Read.
Neither search the things that are above thy strength.
Read on.
But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence.
Mm-hmm.
For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret.
So now this is being content with the knowledge that you have been commanded to have. When you're not content with the knowledge that you are commanded to have, or the knowledge that you have obtained, it leads you down different rabbit holes. Now you start to learn after the different gods. You start to learn different philosophies. You start to learn different knowledge that goes against God's commandments. So that goes to a soul that's not content with the information that they have learned. So if you are one of those spirits, hey, check yourself before you wreck yourself. You got to check yourself. Now you know that coveting information is what? Curiosity. Curiosity is a form of covetousness. All right. Is it on that?
That was it for verse 22.
Okay. Let's go back. All right. I just wanted that little sidebar. All right. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. Because now we got to get into the meat and potatoes. Now we got to see what is the cause of us getting our identity taken. And our identity was only taken due to sin. So now what spirit is going to jump on us as a nation when we're in the midst of sin, and now our identity is taken because it's a punishment? Let's see what happens. Read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 7.
Uh-huh.
Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
So oppression is supposed to make a wise man, a man of understanding, a woman of understanding God's laws. It's supposed to make you mad. Read.
And a gift destroyeth the heart.
And a gift, a benefit, destroys your mindset. So in your oppression, when you are giving gifts, it's actually meant to destroy you, to destroy that mindset, and to subside the anger that you feel. Now, get Proverbs 3:31. This goes in conjunction with Ecclesiastes 7 and 7. It goes in conjunction with it. Let's get it. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31. Because now we got to see. Okay, now we see that oppression maketh a wise man mad. Now we see in your oppression, you're going to be giving gifts to subside the anger. But what else?
Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 31.
Uh-huh.
Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
So through these gifts and oppression, it causes you to envy your oppressor. Now you want to live like the heathen do. Now you want to do what the heathen do. These are the things that cause you to err. This is another form of covetousness, envy. Read it again.
Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
So now when you choose the ways of your oppressor, it always leads you away from God. And if you are away from God, you're serving another God. So now, due to envy, now you're in the midst of idolatry. So now we see that with our identity being taken, these are the spirits that are imbued or put on us through our oppression and through these gifts that we get through oppression. Read it one more time.
Verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
So none of his ways in what the Bible, the breakdown of the Bible, the understanding of the Bible, none of his ways in fashion, none of his ways in how we constitute ourselves, how do we stand up for ourselves. We're not supposed to envy our oppressor in none of his ways, especially what we just read in times past, going into wealth and things of that nature. We're not supposed to be living up to the Joneses. We're not supposed to be envying our brother so much that we hate him, or that we'll steal from him, or that we would break God's commandments against our brother. So I'm showing you different levels of covetousness. Now with that envy, I want to go into fashion real quick with our sisters. Give me Isaiah 3:16 real quick. Because with that envy, our sisters envy their oppressor so much where now it's a Stockholm syndrome type of mentality that you start to dress like the one that oppressed you. You start to admire the man or woman that had your ancestors in slavery. So this is Stockholm syndrome all over again. But let's get into it. Let's get into it. Read that.
Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 16. Moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes.
So that very proud, wanton eyes, always trying to allure men. Read.
Walking and mincing as they go.
Read on.
And making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore, the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion.
Read.
And the Lord will discover their secret parts.
So now with the crown of the head being smitten, that goes into that alopecia, or that baldness that our sisters be going through. Why? Because they envy their oppressor so much, they put all these chemicals in their head to the point where they're trying to straighten their hair. All praises right now, there's a huge movement to uplift natural hairstyles. All praises for that. That shows that the beauty of the Bible is going out into the earth, and everybody is admiring that thing. But for our brothers, for our sisters that are without, that's still doing the perms, things of that nature, they're envying their oppressor to the point where now they're killing themselves to look like their oppressor. And and y'all remember that video where the little girl was like, "Mama, you think you Caucasian? You think you Caucasian?" That's how a lot of our sisters are. They're chocolate covered Edomites, or Euro blacks, or Negropeans. They look the part as if they are the people of Israel, but their mindset is not of Israel. Their mindset is like a white person. It's like Edom. They worship the same customs. They worship the same holidays, all that stuff. So going back to that Stockholm syndrome mindset, because you have that level of covetousness to envy your oppressor, now you're destroying your whole visage, your whole face, your whole head to look like the man that oppressed you. Read again. Or keep going. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 18.
Read.
In that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their cause, and their round tires like the moon.
So this is going into the beauty that was on our sisters. The Lord is going to take away that beauty in what day? The day that we go into captivity. Because remember, I said that when we sin as a nation, the Lord puts judgments on us, and what happens to our identity? It throughout the generations, it starts to dwindle. Remember, during Daniel's time, we knew who we were, but remember, their names was changed. Their names was changed after the gods of the Babylonians. Just like today, our names are, when we come into this earth, our parents give us names. That's what you call a birth name. But then when you are reborn again in the truth of the word, now you claim a name that you can live up to. So it's levels to it. All right, keep reading.
Verse 19. The chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and nose jewels. So
y'all see the beauty that the Lord put on the women of Zion, the nose jewels, the bracelets, even the tinkling leg ornaments. These are the beauties of the daughters of Zion, the children of Israel's sisters. Read.
The changeable suits of apparel.
Many different clothes. That was taken away from you because of your envy of the other nations. Read.
And the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils.
So all these things was taken away from our sisters because they envied the beauty of the other nations. Now, let's see who's the first author of beauty. Give me that in Wisdom of Solomon 13. We can start at verse 2 or 3. Matter of fact, 2. Start at verse 2. Wisdom of Solomon 13.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13 and verse 2. But deemed either fire or wind, or the swift air, or the circle of the stars, or the violent water, or the lights of heaven, to be the gods which govern the world. So this is going into, well, start at verse 1. Let's get the point. Start at verse 1. Because this is going down the same vein. This is all going down the same vein. Read. Verse 1. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, verse 1. Surely vain are all men by nature, who are ignorant of God, and could not out of the good things that are seen know him that is. Neither by considering the works did they acknowledge the workmaster. So now it's showing you how vain men are about the things that they see on a daily basis, but don't recognize that there was a God that created it. Let's see the things that men see on a daily basis. Keep reading. But deemed either fire or wind, or the swift air, or the circle of the stars, or the violent water, or the lights of heaven, to be the gods which govern the world. So men in their vain, puny little minds, they look at nature to say that these attributes of nature are gods. The circling of the stars, the lights of heaven, that goes into the sun, the moon, the stars. The circling of the stars goes into the rotation or the movement of the planets. Then the rivers, they put more emphasis on water and fire being gods versus thinking that there was a God that created these things. Keep reading. Verse 3. With whose beauty, if they being delighted, took them to be gods. So because of the beauty and splendor of these natural things, these natural men took these things to be gods, not putting in their mind that these things were created. Read. Let them know how much better the Lord of them is. For the first author of beauty hath created them.
So the first author of beauty is the Lord God of Israel. The first author of beauty is the one that created all things. But vain men don't put this into mind to say that this mountain or this big river was actually created by the author of beauty. They don't give credit to the God that created it. And it was something that was said. I think Kanye said it. But it was a pretty heavy statement. He said that he was trying to be on a godlike level to the point where you use his beats or his stuff so much that you actually forget about the creator of those things. And then I started thinking, I was like, wait a minute. That's true. A lot of people use a lot of technology now and don't think about who created it. Just like the traffic light, that was created by our ancestors. The gas mask, our ancestors. Even down to the cell phone, internet, our ancestors created those things. But because through time and through misinformation, you forget the creator of the things that you use on a daily basis. So if this was taken away from you because you use it on a daily basis, it shows you how ambiguous or how invisible that creator is to the natural man, because you don't think about it even though you use it on a daily basis, showing you how important the creator of anything is. And just like God is invisible to us because we see the natural things that he created already. We always see the things. That's why we don't even put him in mind. That's where it talks about the vain men. They worship nature versus the creator of the nature that they're worshiping. So it's just something to think about, how the author of beauty, the God of Israel, now is not being reverenced with the things that he created. But what other things, since God is the author of beauty, let's go to another case. Go to Ezekiel 16, start at verse 8 now. Because since God is the author of beauty and we are his chosen nation, he imbued and put beauty on us through his laws. He showed us how to dress. He showed us how to act one towards another. These things emit beauty into the earth. And I'm going to show that. Read that.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 8. Now when I passed by thee and looked upon thee, behold, thy time was the time of love. And I spread my skirt over thee and covered thy nakedness. Yea, I swear unto thee and entered into a covenant with thee, saith the Lord God, and thou becamest mine.
Read.
Then washed I thee with water.
Read.
Yea, I thoroughly washed away thy blood from thee, and I anointed thee with oil.
So this is God making reference of us coming out of Egypt. So he did wash us. He washed us with his laws and took us away from the customs that we was following in Egypt. But let's keep reading.
Verse 10. I clothed thee also with broidered work. I shod thee with badger skin. And I girded thee about with fine linen. And I covered thee with silk.
Now, look at the precious fabrics that we wore as a nation, right? Now, jump down to verse 15. Then we're going to go up again.
Verse 15. But thou didst trust in thine own beauty, and playedst the harlot because of thy renown.
So we had renown of our beauty amongst the nations. We had the finest clothes, the finest food. But now we're curious in unnecessary matters. Now we're finding ourselves worshiping gods that had nothing to do with us, nor did those gods give us laws to even emit our beauty. Go back up to verse 11 now.
Verse 11. I decked thee also with ornaments, and I put bracelets upon thy hands, and a chain on thy neck, and I put a jewel on thy forehead,
Read.
and earrings in thine ears, and a beautiful crown upon thine head.
So now God is showing what he did for the nation of Israel, putting all these ornaments on us, beautifying us in his law, statutes, and commandments. Read.
Verse 13. Thus wast thou decked with gold and silver,
Read.
and thy raiment was of fine linen, and silk, and broidered work. Thou didst eat fine flour.
Read that again.
Thou didst eat fine flour.
So that goes back into our food. Our food was good and necessary for us to eat. We wasn't eating junk all over the place. God gave us the finest flour. Read.
And honey,
Uh-huh.
and oil.
Read on.
And thou wast exceeding beautiful, and thou didst prosper into a kingdom.
Read on.
And thy renown went forth among the heathen for thy beauty.
So you see that the beauty that the Lord put on us, now our renown goes before the heathen. Now we are making an impact to the heathen where they want to follow, or they know who we are based off how we dress, how we act towards one another. Keep reading.
For it was perfect through my comeliness.
So it was perfect through God's handsomeness or beauty to make us beautiful. But because we envy after the beauty of the other nations, now our sisters bald head. They don't know how to eat. Our brothers don't know how to eat. We don't know how to dress. The men dressing like women, the women dressing like men, and all this is stemming from envy. This is why God's laws put that beauty back into our nation. Matter of fact, Deuteronomy 22:5 real quick. Deuteronomy 22:5. Just to show you more about God's laws putting that beauty into our nation and how we forgot God's laws through envy of the other nations, or through that covetousness of wanting to be like the heathen. Get that real quick.
Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 5.
Uh-huh.
The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man,
Read.
neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God.
So Stockholm syndrome has hit the nation of Israel so bad that now there's cross-dressing in the nation of Israel, going against one of God's laws that a man should wear the things pertaining or belonging to men, and then a woman should wear the things that belong to her. That's showing you how messed up in the mind we are because of covetousness rooted through envy. Let's go back to Ezekiel. And I want you to read 15 one more time.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 15. But thou didst trust in thine own beauty.
So we did what?
Trust in thine own beauty.
So if God's beauty is his law, statutes, and commandments, what is our own beauty? Our own beauty goes into our own mind, our own opinion that goes opposite or contrary to God's law. So we started to trust in our own beauty. Read.
And playedest the harlot because of thy renown.
And now, because we are renowned throughout the other nations, because of God's beauty, now we take it upon ourselves to make up our own beautifulness. We take it upon ourselves to appear to the heathen now. And this is what's destroying us as a nation. Jump over to, you can drop that, Jeremiah 7:19. So now even more on the loss of identity. What else happens because we envy the other nations? What else happens? Read.
Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 19.
Read on.
Do they provoke me to anger?
Uh-huh.
Said the Lord. Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces?
So now, through the Lord's anger, how are we confused of our own face? Because of Deuteronomy 28:64. We were scattered throughout the entire earth because of our sins. Now we don't even know how to identify each other. I mentioned it before that because we envy the other nations so much, we are assimilated, chocolate-covered Edomites, chocolate-covered white people. That's all we are in this land. We follow everything that they do, and then when God's word come out, now it's a problem. Now we asking who wrote the book. Now we're asking these deep, renowned questions, and you don't ask that when Christmas was put upon you. Thanksgiving Day was put upon you. You didn't ask those questions, but now you start to ask the questions when truth reveals itself. Now, Lamentations 4:17. 17 through 18. Lamentations. I pray y'all keeping up, family. I pray y'all keeping up.
Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 17.
Uh-huh.
As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help.
Uh-huh.
In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
So this is that level of envy where you start to act upon the help of the man that enslaved you. Why is he going to help you? This is why we always have these conversations about we need to sit down. Our people always have these crazy conversations. We need to sit down and talk about these issues that's going on in our community. Why are you going to the man that put you in that case to plead and beg for his sympathy? No, what is it? No direct relations with the temptations, but you begging and pleading for your sympathy. That's all you do. So now, because of that, now you go into politics. You think that's the way out. You go into finances. You think that's the way out. You go through education. You think that's the way out. And what are you doing? You're envying the systems that your enemy created to keep you locked down, to keep you enslaved. Where? In the mind. That's the worst type of slavery. The worst type of slavery is the one in the mind, when you don't even know you're a slave. When you have chains and shackles on you, at least you know. But now you don't have the chains and shackles of today is social media. The chains and shackles of today is certain realms of education, certain realms of politics. These are shackles on our minds now. All right, keep reading.
They hunt our, verse 18, they hunt our steps that we could not go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come.
So now at this time, the Babylonians was hunting Israel in the streets. Well, what's going on today? It's the same thing. We're in Babylon the Great, so that means that the spiritual ramifications of these things must come to pass. They must happen in the same land. How are we being hunted? Through police brutality. How else we're being hunted? We're also being exploited. That's also a hunt. You're being exploited through those different things I went through. Business, politics, health, education. All those things that stem from the eugenics tree, we're being exploited or hunted. It's all the same thing. All right? Now, the question is, wait, one more. Jeremiah 10:1, because I know we in the holiday season. I gotta mention this real quick. Jeremiah 10, I got to. Jeremiah 10 verse 1, and then this goes in correlation with us following after the other gods.
Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 1.
Read.
Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel.
Read.
Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven.
So now the Lord is commanding us not to learn the ways of the heathen. Mind you, this is in Babylon. Learn not the ways of the heathen, and don't be dismayed at the signs of heaven. When you're dismayed at something, that means that you are in a state of fear, that you reverence that thing as a idol, a god, or you reverencing it as something powerful. So now, where does that go into? When you start to be dismayed at the signs of heaven, it goes into astrology, all the Leos, Scorpios, and that foolishness. It goes down all into that garbage. But at the same time, it goes into other holidays. Let's keep reading.
For the heathen are dismayed at them.
Uh-huh.
Verse 3. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe.
So now, because we envy our oppressor so much, we find ourselves cutting trees out the forest. We find ourselves with a tree in the house. I don't know why. Read.
They deck it with silver and with gold.
Read.
They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not.
So they fasten it with nails and hammers that it don't move, right? And then there was a belief at that time that the spirit of Nimrod was in the tree. And if you didn't make sacrifices unto it or those presents or gifts, that this tree would attack you. Read.
Verse 5. They are upright as the palm tree,
Read.
but speaketh not. They must needs be born.
So these trees don't have life. They don't speak, and they must be carried. But it says it's upright like the palm tree. In the time of Babylon, they was using palm trees for this custom. In today's standard, Esau changed it to the pine tree. Why? Because the pine tree represents eternity. Pine trees, when you look at them, they don't die. So, or they don't wilt in the winter. So Esau used the symbology of the pine tree to represent eternity. Keep reading.
They must needs be born because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good.
So now we see that there's a custom of the Babylonians that they cut a tree out of the forest, and then they put this tree upright in their houses, and then they decorate it. This was a Babylonian custom. Now, how in the world is in 2023 you about to have a lot of our brothers and sisters that are without this truth celebrate a Babylonian custom under the guise that Christ died on that day? Make it make sense. We are reading things in Babylon, and now we fast forward to today, and this custom is still being practiced to this day. So envying or getting your identity taken leads to envy. That's a form of covetousness. And then it leads to us falling into idolatry. That's the sin behind that covetousness. All right, let's keep reading. Oh, wait. No. We're going to keep going. So now the question is, how does lack of identity translate to relationships now? How does us losing our identity go into the relationships, or how we treat one another in God's laws or without God's laws? Give me Sirach 25:1 now. Now we caught up. Family. We caught up. All right.
Ecclesiastes chapter 25 and verse 1.
All right.
In three things I was beautified, and stood up beautiful, both before God and men. The unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, and a man and a wife that agree together.
So the purpose of me bringing this out is that we are a nation built behind relationships. You see that there's three forms of the relationship that is beautiful or beautified before God and man. You have the unity of brethren that goes into the unity of the 12 tribes of Israel. Then it says the love of neighbors. This goes into the tribes dealing with each other according to God's commandments. Then you have a man and a wife that agrees together. This is the foundation of the nation. A marriage, a good, healthy marriage under God's law, statutes, and commandments induces a healthy nation. So if there's problems in the household, that will reciprocate throughout your community. That's why it's called a community, common unity. What is the common unity in? It should be in God's commandments. So if we are a community or have common unity in keeping God's commandments in marriage, that's the building blocks of a good nation. Does that make sense, family? All right, so we are a nation derived and centered around relationships. But when our identity is taken away from us, how can we tell who do we belong to? We can't. So now our relationships are severed. Our ties are cut. Now let's see what else happens. Go to Jeremiah 2:33. Now when your identity or lack of identity translates to relationships, since we are a nation built around relationships pertaining to God, because think about it. The entire Bible is about God, his people, and then the relationship they have with one another and their God. That's it. That's it. That's a sum of the Bible. It's only about Israel. That's it. All right. Read that. Jeremiah 2:33.
Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 33.
Mm-hmm.
Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways.
So now, with a lack of identity, we start to have low self-esteem. With this low self-esteem, we start to trim God's ways to seek love of the wicked. So now you're not telling the wicked what they're doing wrong to correct them so they can change it. You start to subside or go into their wickedness. Especially y'all brothers and sisters, with the holidays coming, just be mindful of, especially if it's your first time in the truth, this your first year. All praise to the Most High, you made a year, but you are battling. That's why we have certain things that the school do. We have these holiday getaways where you can go to the school, be around like-minded individuals. But you have to operate with tact with your family around these times, because they're going to send you the text chain emails about emails or text messages about Thanksgiving Day and Crimbus that's about to come. They're gonna send you all type of messages. But you got to act wise. You got to be wise in these things, family. All right, go to Proverbs 17 and 9. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 9. Let's get it. Proverbs 17 and 9.
Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 9.
Uh-huh.
He that covereth a transgression seeketh love.
So wait a minute. So if you cover a sin, you're seeking the love of who? A sinner. Keep reading.
But he that repeateth a matter separateth very friends.
So now if you repeateth the matter, always bringing to remembrance the things that you must keep that goes against God's laws, you're going to separate very friends. That means the fake friends, you're going to separate them. But the real ones are going to stay to you. All right? Go to Proverbs 11 and 12 now. Proverbs 11, verse 12. All these, remember, we was dealing with our identity being taken. What does that correlate to? Envy and idolatry. Now we're translating that into how does that affect us in our relationships with one another? Read.
Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 12.
Uh-huh.
He that is void of wisdom despiseth his neighbor.
So if you are void of the application of God's commandments, you hate your brother. Read again, soldier. Read again.
He that is void of wisdom.
So he or she that is absent of keeping the laws of God or the application of God's law, read.
Despiseth his neighbor.
You hate your brother, read.
But a man of understanding holdeth his peace.
So a man of understanding the application of God's commandments, he's going to hold his peace with his brother or sister because you understand how to apply God's commandments and when to apply God's commandments. It's all about timing when it comes to the Most High. I was telling the officer here, I said, it's amazing. We serve a God out of time, but he's always on time. He's always on time with certain things that happen in the earth, even though he's out of time. So it's amazing. So with that mindset, now that we have brothers and sisters that are void or absent of God's commandments, they're going to hate their brothers. So now you don't know how to quell your covetousness to the point where now you're stealing from your neighbor. Now you don't know how to subside your anger. Now you're about to kill your brother or your sister. And this is happening all day, every day here in Babylon the Great. I know, hey, I have news break on my phone, especially here in Birmingham. Good Lord. It's almost a shooting. Correct me if I'm wrong, officer. It's almost a shooting every night. Somebody is getting shot. Somebody is dying. and then it's around the same area. That's a pandemic. That's a pandemic that we have. A lack of God's laws is a pandemic in our community, because now we don't know how to show that love towards our brother. We don't see our brother at all. We don't. Like the tents neighborhood, right? It's supposed to be neighbors together. That's what it's supposed to be. But now we call it the hood, because they know that their brother is not there. They know that. There's no brothers there. There's only enemies. That's what they see. They see enemies when they see each other. Why? Because of lack of identity. They envy the things of the world and they would kill for it. All right, let's keep reading. Go to Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 4 now. And I need you to look up the definition of malicious. Yes, sir, malicious. Read that. Wisdom of Solomon 1, verse 4.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 4. For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter.
So into a malicious soul, the application of God's law cannot enter into that person. But let's see what malicious means. What does malicious itself mean?
Malicious, characterized by malice, intending or intended to do harm.
So it's a spirit that's intending to do harm to someone. You actually have a joy to do harm or cause harm to your brother or your sister. That's another level of covetousness. If you desire to cause harm to somebody, that's a malicious soul. Like, for instance, sisters that love to hold grudges just to fight. Brothers that love to hold grudges just to fight. You are a malicious soul. You love to hold on to negativity just to lash out in your anger, and you enjoy that thing. That's a sick soul. So what can clean up a sick soul? God's commandments. That's where it goes back to. But because that level of covetousness, of maliciousness, now you enjoy to cause to you enjoy to do harm to someone or something. Now you lost in the sauce. Read that verse one more time. Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 4.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 4. For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter.
So into a man or woman that desires to cause harm to someone, the application of God's laws cannot enter into that person. It can't. So now I want you to really think about this, Israel. Through these different levels of covetousness, especially envy. Envy is one of the major ones. Now that we envy the other nations so much, they have bred in us and put in us the attributes of hatred to self. Because if you hate yourself, you're going to reflect that to your brother. So all this is, we're reading about self-hate. Brother killing brother. You hate yourself first before you lash out on the brother or sister that looks like you. It goes back to self-hate. Why? Because you're envying the heathen. You're envying the other nations. Let's go to Sirach 6 and 5. Let's see what can clean this up. What spirits must we put on ourselves, or what attributes must we share or do to fend off this malicious type of spirit, this hateful type of spirit? Read that.
Ecclesiasticus.
And this goes especially for the sisters. Read that.
Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6 and verse 5. Sweet language will multiply friends.
It says sweet language multiplies friends. Read it out.
And a fair speaking tongue will increase kind greetings.
So a fair speaking tongue will increase kind greetings. When a brother or sister, primarily a sister, when she's well spoken of and good with her speech, she knows how to articulate herself, and she's nice and pleasant. There's a lot of good things said about that sister. Go to Proverbs 15 and 1 now. It's saying the same thing.
Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
A soft answer turneth away wrath.
So because you understand the wisdom of God, you understand the timing of applying God's law. Read that again.
A soft answer turneth away wrath.
You know when to give a soft answer, to turn away anger or wrath. Wrath is actually the action of anger. So your soft words can quell a spirit. Read.
But grievous words stir up anger.
This is what a fool would do. This is what a malicious soul would do. A malicious soul would stir up that spirit to cause the wrath to come forth. Oh, I bet you won't hit me. I bet you won't. And chest bumping and going on. No. We're not supposed to operate like that. And this is why, due to envying the other nations, it caused us to hate oneself, and now we need to fix it. We need to pick up the pieces and find where in God's law can we apply this to our lives first, and then be a good representation of God's laws in our community, so then it becomes contagious. Then everybody else wants to do it because they see us doing it. Now we got to see, okay, what was the problem? It's envy. How do we fix it? You fix your mouthpiece first. You fix how you speak to people. And this is in God's law. Go back to Sirach chapter 6. We're going to jump down to verse 7 now.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 6 and verse 7.
All right, so this is the prerequisite of how to prove a friend. But we're going to see, what does it mean to prove a friend? Read.
If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first.
So you must test this friend. How? You must test them off the application of God's law. That's the only way that you can tell if this is a friend or a foe. How they apply God's law and in what situation they are put in to get God's law out of it. Or if they just negate God's law with whatever situation that they're in. Read again.
Verse 7.
Uh-huh.
If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first.
So we must test this person or test this friend with God's laws first before they can become a friend. Keep reading.
And be not hasty to credit him.
So we're not supposed to be too quick to credit that this is my friend. A lot of us, because of low self-esteem, because we lack our identity, we were very quick to grab on to whoever is near us, not really looking at the attributes that's on that soul. And the attributes are shown through people's actions. For instance, it's amazing that God has these laws in effect, especially like the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. These things, right? But each of these laws, when it says a spirit, it's just an attribute. So that means that if somebody steals, they're going to have certain actions that qualify them as a thief. If somebody is a whoremonger or let's start with disrespectful to their parents, right? They're not keeping that commandment. They're going to show signs or actions that they're disrespectful to their parents. Whether they're talking back, whether they are not following the commandment of the parent, whatever it may be, is shown through your actions. So when we say, hey, you got a spirit on you or this type of spirit on you, it's showing that your actions are moving a certain way that lines up with what's written that we're not supposed to do. So I want y'all, don't get lost in the sauce when we be like, hey, this spirit, that spirit. We always saying it's attributes or actions that you are following to fall under a thief. It's actions that you're following to fall under one that is covetous or one that lusts after women or vice versa, lusts after men. It's actions first. So an action of someone will prove who they are. Read that one more time.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 6 verse 7.
Read.
If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him.
So we're not supposed to be hasty to credit these friends, right? There's a reason I'm saying that. Keep reading.
For some man is a friend for his own occasion,
So there's a man or woman that's a friend of their own occasion, meaning their own devices. They're only using you either for position, fame, wealth, whatever it is. They're using you. They're exploiting your gifts to either get a higher position over you or to either take your position. Keep reading.
And will not abide in the day of thy trouble.
So now, when it's your trial, they're not there. They're there when you're prospering. They're there when you're doing good, but they're not there when you hit rock bottom. So this is a friend that you not supposed to get. One that, and this shows you if they are a friend or not. So a friend will be there in the good and the bad times, not just in the good. So if they're only there in the good times, and when the bad times roll around and they're not there, that's not your friend. Keep reading.
And there is a friend who, being turned to enmity and strife, will discover thy reproach.
So now you have another friend, right? You have another friend that once they are turned to anger, now they're going to discover, or they're going to start telling all your secrets, putting your business on Front Street when there's no need to. So a soul that does that, that's not your friend. That's an enemy. That's an enemy. And we must know these attributes to know how to prove or test the spirit that's in front of us calling themselves a friend. Read.
Verse 10. Again, some friend is a companion at the table, and will not continue in the day of thy affliction.
So it says again. So that there's many people that have gone through this. It says again, this friend is not going to continue at the table now. But I want to divert this elsewhere. I want you to go to Sirach 9:4 now, because this table is very conducive to something. This table, what is this table going into? Let's get it. Sirach chapter 4, verse 9. I'm flipping the script real quick, Israel.
You said 9 and 4 or 4 and 9?
9. What would I say? 9 and 4. 9 and 4.
Sirach, Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 4. Use not much the company of a woman that is a singer, lest thou be taken with her attempts.
So it says, use not the company of a woman that's a singer. So a singer has a very beautiful voice. They know how to hit the tones and all the harmonies and all that stuff to sway you. So this type of woman would be one that uses the attack strategy called flattery. Now, let's get into this, because this is segueing into lust. All right, so go to Proverbs first. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 24. Let's get flattery first.
Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 24. To keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart.
So it says to keep thee from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. Don't lust after her beauty. This goes vice versa for y'all sisters, not to lust after the comeliness of a brother. And he's sliding in your DMs, talking to you, going around the order that was placed to go to leadership and go through order in that manner. But now you sliding in DMs. Now you're taking upon yourself that, oh, I'm grown. I does what I want. Read that. Is that it?
Sit on verse 24, yes, sir.
Read 25 now.
Lust not after her beauty in thine heart.
So lust not after the beauty of that woman or man in your mind. Read.
Neither let her take thee with her eyelids.
So them eyelids go into them wanton eyes. Want a friend? That's the mindset. Trying to set you up. And if she's trying to take you with her eyes, what is she wearing? She's wearing makeup. She's beautifying herself to take you. We have to, in God's law, it expounds on the spirit of flattery, how it looks, how it comes on, how it even happens. So now we understand that all the flattery, define flattery real quick, because we can throw this word around, but let's get the root definition of the word flattery so we all understand what it is and don't have our own meaning of what it is. Let's define flattery real quick.
Flattery, excessive and insincere praise.
It says excessive and insincere. So now you are not sincere in what you're saying. You know what that's being? You're being fake. You're not real. You're insincere. Read it again.
Flattery, excessive and insincere praise, given especially to further one's own interest.
You see that? Flattery is only meant to further someone else's agenda. So they're using their sweet language, but they're using it in an evil tense now, an evil case. And because they're using it in that manner, now it's to further what they want to do. It's to further their agenda. So now they're putting that on you to exploit you, to use you. This type of person you got to stay away from. This is a malicious soul. And because we lust after having friends, wanting to be identified by everybody, now we don't know anything. All right. Go to Romans real quick. Go to Romans. Oh, we got some technical difficulties. Hold on, Israel. Hold on. All right, shalom, shalom. All right, we back. Just had a quick technical difficulty. All right, we back. All right, so I wanted to go to Romans real quick. Romans 12 and 9. Romans 12 and 9. Because now we define flattery, and it says excessive praise that's insincere. So it's not meant for your betterment. It's meant to destroy you. So flattery is a tool used against you, right? So let's get Romans 12 and 9.
Romans chapter 12 and verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
Let love be without dissimulation.
So let love be without fakeness. Actually, let's define dissimulation. Let's define it. Because this is what's going on in today's standard, especially when you mention about like social media. I ain't gonna lie, like some of social media is just garbage. It's fake. It's not real. It's meant to paint a fictitious picture to you to fool you into exploiting you out of what? Your money, your resources, your goods for someone else to live a lavish lifestyle. It's a lot of things online that are fake. And especially the day and age that we living in. Now we have so much fakeness in the earth that, you know, when especially these sisters, when they take these pictures and it's all these type of filters now, they don't look like themselves. They look fake. They look AI generated. I want y'all to really see that this world is a practice of dissimulation. We're going to get it. Define dissimulation for me.
Dissimulation. Concealment of one's thoughts, feelings, or character pretense.
Read again.
Concealment of one's thoughts.
So concealment. So that means I'm not telling you how I really feel. I'm hiding it. That's subtlety. That's being secretive about certain things. Also, you being fake. Because your real intent is meant for malice. It's meant to cause harm. But you package it up. You package up your malice and guise into this nice ribbon called flattery. It's fakeness. You're being fake. All right, let's go back to Romans. Read that again.
Romans chapter 12 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God.
Go ahead.
That ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God.
Well, 12 and 9. I'm sorry. Read 12 and 9 again.
Romans chapter 12, verse 9.
Uh-huh.
Let love be without dissimulation.
So let love be without fakeness. Let love be without hidden motives. Let love be without hidden agendas. And what is love? Keeping of God's commandments. So be real. Be sincere. Keep reading.
Abhor that which is evil.
So hate that which is evil. Read.
Cleave to that which is good.
What is good? God's commandments. So we're supposed to hate sin and cleave unto God's commandments. But we're supposed to be real in that thing. We're not supposed to be fake, having this fake facade of who we think we are. That's that social media mindset. I know I'm tired of it. Especially, it's funny when it relates to the truth as well. It's funny when you have a young kid trying to show somebody else on the internet how to do something so advanced, but all they did was take it from somebody else that was a pro at it and that's been doing it for years, and they're trying to replicate it in like manner. There's certain brothers that's in the truth or in the truth that will learn under men of renown that's been teaching for 20 plus years, and they only been learning 3 years, and now they're deacons and elders of schools. It makes no sense. It's fake. You're being fake in your actions. That's what I said. That's that whole social media mindset. Let me take a picture of everything to show all the highlights of my life. But you don't take pictures of the bad stuff when them bills due. You don't have the money to catch up with the rent. You ain't taking a picture of that. You ain't taking a picture of that eviction notice that you hiding in the camera behind you. You ain't taking a picture of that. So always remember, especially I have to go on social media because it's big now. It's rampant. A lot of people post a lot of stuff on social media and it ain't real. It's fake. All right, let's go back. Go back to what was that? Proverbs. Proverbs 6:25. Read that one more time. I got 15 minutes. 15 minutes. And don't forget the thought now. We started at Sirach 9:4, right? So we're Sirach 9 and I'm sorry, Sirach 6, and we're in verse 10. We're expounding on verse 10 where it says about the table, all right? Keep reading.
You on Sirach or Proverbs?
Proverbs.
Proverbs 6 and verse 24.
Uh-huh.
To keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids.
So this is what's going to keep you away from this strange woman, not to lust after her beauty and having her take you with her eyelids. Is that the end of 25?
Yes, sir.
All right, jump down to Proverbs 7, verse 4 now. Proverbs 7 and 4.
Proverbs 7 and verse 4.
Uh-huh.
Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thine kinswoman.
So wait a minute. It says, say unto wisdom, thou art my sister. So this is how knitted you should be with the application of God's law. Read.
That they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words.
So wait a minute. So God's law, or the application of the commandments, is a shield against the flattery of the tongue of a woman or a man. So God's law hip you on game, brothers and sisters, so you don't go down the path of lust. It tells you all the ins and outs. It tells you the situation, how it's going to look, what they're going to say, to the degree they're going to say it. And some of us just, we ignore all of that and fall headlong into some thighs or a rod. This is going back into that lust, the covetousness of lust or sexual desires. The covetousness of sexual desires is lust. All right. Let's go to Sirach 18:30. We still going back to Sirach 6. I didn't leave off that. We just making a tangent. All right.
So Ecclesiasticus chapter 18 and verse 30.
Read.
Go not after thy lust, but refrain thyself from thine appetites.
So lust is an appetite. Once you understand that, hey, like what they say in G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle. Once you know and understand that lust is an appetite, now what can this lust or covetousness stem off into? You may have an appetite of money, appetite of women, appetite of too much food, appetite of maliciousness, meaning evil thoughts toward or evil wills to doing towards a brother or sister. All of these things are appetites. Read it again.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 18 and verse 30.
Uh-huh.
Go not after thy lust,
Read.
but refrain thyself from thine appetite.
So we must refrain ourselves from the appetites that's within us. So when any form of covetousness come upon you, it feels as an appetite. I know everybody knows what a sweet tooth feel like. You just got to have the chocolate. You just got to have what that food that you are craving. So lust is a craving. Covetousness is a craving. But I'm trying to show everybody different forms of this craving. But it all feels the same. It feels like a hunger. It feels like you got to eat it. You got to satisfy it. And what is that hunger? It's your flesh. That's the flesh that you feel. When you feel that, I just got to do it. It's that hunger, and then it's a heat that come over you. Like, I just got to do it. Keep reading.
Verse 31.
Uh-huh.
If thou givest thy soul the desires that please her, she will make thee a laughing stock to thine enemies that malign thee.
So the laughing stock to the enemies that malign thee, once you go against God's commandments, the people that are keeping God's commandments are now your enemy. And you will be a laughing stock. We have multiple cases where brothers was not strong enough in the faith and they fell over the thighs of a woman. Or sisters that fell over the rod of a man, their ex-boyfriend or ex-husband or things like that. It makes no sense, but it's showing you different forms of covetousness or those strong sexual desires, and now you've fallen headlong into sin now. Now you've fallen headlong into another man or woman's bed. All right? Let's jump over to Sirach 23:17, because you got to read these together. You got to read these together.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 23 and verse 17.
Read.
All bread is sweet to a whoremonger.
So wait. So all bread is sweet to a whoremonger. So the bread represents the hoes, the whores, with a whole W. It represents them. That's what the bread is. So think about it. Remember, I mentioned an example dealing with a sweet tooth. It's the same thing. It's just translated in a different form. Instead of food, now you're lusting after women or have that strong desire towards women. Instead of food, now you have that strong desire of status or of riches or wealth. Instead of food, you have a strong desire of social constructs or social statuses. But it's still the same hunger. It's still that same craving. It feels the same. It's just translated in a different form. Read again.
Verse 17.
Uh-huh.
All bread is sweet to a whoremonger. He will not leave off till he die.
So you see the malicious or the evil acts that we have one toward another, that we don't even know how to love each other, to the point that now we are breaking God's sexual just laws, his laws pertaining to how we govern ourselves in his in sex and actually in sex. So now we smashing everything that we see. Now that we are being whores to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, it's showing a lack of identity because we don't know who we are. And because we don't know who we are, we lust after the other nations and lust and envy the other nations' ways. We're not applying God's laws. All right. Let me start finishing up. Jump over to Sirach 21:2.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 21 and verse 2.
Read.
Flee from sin as from the face of a serpent.
Read.
For if thou comest too near it, it will bite thee.
So if I were to throw a snake on the ground, it could be a fake one. If I were to throw a snake on the ground in a crowd of Israelites, you really think they're going to sit there and try to examine what type of snake is it, if it's fake or real? No. You're going to flee from that snake. You're going to flee from it. Why? Because you're afraid of its bite. But for one that gets too close to this snake or sin, the snake then bites you. It's a quick snap, right? You really don't feel it, but it's the venom that kills you. Your brother or a sister that's battling porn, your brother or sister that's battling, talking to people, enticing people in the DMs. These are forms of covetousness, especially the lust sort. Now you battling this thing, meaning you falling headlong in it. Now you fall headlong in it, and then you like, okay, I'm going to refrain myself from a little bit. But it already bit you. Now the poison is going throughout the entire body, and it's a slow kill. That's what we don't really think about. When you revert back to these sins, you're slowly killing your spirit. It's a slow poison. It's a slow death. That's the worst type of death. You think you fine and good, then you just fall out. You out the truth now. Because the decibels of his or her voice went up too high for you. You couldn't take it. It makes no sense. It's because of the sins that are covering you. All right, keep reading.
Flee from sin as from the face of a serpent.
Read.
For if thou comest too near it, it will bite thee.
It's going to bite you, infect you with this poison. Read.
The teeth thereof are as the teeth of a lion, slaying the souls of men.
So the only thing that can slay the souls of anybody is sin. That's the only thing that can slay the souls of anybody. So it's showing you with the teeth thereof, it latches on to you. Kind of like a pit with a vice lock. It latches on, it doesn't let go. And then some of us ain't even fighting it. We just falling headlong into it. We ain't even trying to fight the sin. We ain't even trying to fight that beast, that lion, that pit bull that's trying to bite us. The snake that's trying to bite us. We ain't trying to fight. We get bit like, oh, I got bit. Ooh. And then we just stay down and out. So I'm showing you with lust, this is a reflection of envying the other nation's ways. Envying their sex practices. They can have boyfriend, girlfriend, go man to man, woman to woman. They don't care. They don't have laws that govern them under that. So now we envy that, and now it's breaking down our nation. It's causing a pandemic called single-parent households, which is a sickness in our community. Now, let's go back to Sirach 6, verse 10 now. So I went that route to really go into lust. Now, that's one of the major covetousness that Israel faced. Because when you read the history, the other nations knew to pose their women to have the foolish or simple men fall away. And it's always around lust. It's always around lusting after, and I'm talking about in the sexual desires, lusting after the nations in that. Keep reading. Or go back to Sirach 6 now, verse 10.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 6 and verse 10.
Read.
Again, some friend is a companion at the table.
Read.
And will not continue in the day of thy affliction.
So now, the reason I mentioned this whole ordeal is because now you have these boss bees now, these women that think that they're the prize. They're at the table, and now if a man falls on hard time, they're ready to leave him and jump on the next ride, versus sticking it out and building with that man. Now they use flattery to get into that position, and now they're exploiting that person based off their riches, based off their name, their fame. And now when all that goes down, when they are in a slump in their life, oh, I gotta bail. I gotta worry about me. That's that mentality, that dissimulation, that fakeness that we gotta get rid of. Keep reading.
But in thy prosperity, he will be as thyself.
Read.
And will be bold over thy servants.
Read.
If thou be brought low, he will be against thee, and will hide himself from thy face.
So they're always against you and hide themselves from your face. Read.
Separate thyself from thine enemies.
Separate thyself from who?
Thine enemies.
So these are attributes of an enemy, not a friend. A lot of us on social media, I got to go there again, especially this Facebook. We always calling people friends and attaching ourselves to people in the past that needs to stay in the past. That's the downside of Facebook. Facebook is self-surveillance, one, and two, you're latching on to the past. You're latching on to people that you have no connections with in today's standard. Y'all are in different lives. They still on the corner doing the things that they did in high school, and you doing bigger and better things, especially learning who you are in these last days. Keep reading.
Verse 13, separate thyself from thine enemies.
Read.
And take heed of thy friends.
Read on.
A faithful friend is a strong defense.
Read.
And he that hath found such one, and he that hath found such an one hath found a treasure.
Jump down to verse 17.
Whoso feareth the Lord shall direct his friendship aright. For as he is, so shall his neighbor be also.
So the only person that can really get a friend is one that is in God's commandments. That's how you get a friend. That's how we return back to our identity. That's how we lose the envy of the other nations. That's how we drop the idolatry and serve the one true God versus these holidays, versus all the academic accolades that go against God's commandments. We have to return back to God's commandments to kill covetousness. So again, recap the different forms of covetousness. You have wealth, social accolades, food, envy, lust. These are the different forms of covetousness that now we should know how to identify. And like I said before, knowing is half the battle. Now it's on you to apply God's laws. It's on you to apply God's commandments in those cases. All right? All right, brothers and sisters. Hey, that's my time. It is 9:30 Eastern Standard Time now. So, hey, I enjoyed it. Hey, Lord's will, y'all brothers and sisters learn something today. Lord's will, y'all learn something. And remember, we have mid-morning medicine coming up next. We also have different forms of teaching throughout the day, 7 days a week on all social media platforms to occupy your mind in God's commandments. So always remember that, family. Always remember that. All right, so this was Covert Covetousness. All right, I'm Officer Key Dunn, signing out from Birmingham. Shalom. Most High Christ bless.
Don't let 'em stress you. You just gotta do you. Free up from the drama. Gotta focus on you.